Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I am Anna and I'm a little bit spooky, and today we are playing with Naked Honey, creating this nice dramatic glam. Perfect for a night out if we ever have nights out again. I'm wishful thinking with my makeup here. But yeah, I just want to show you how to get a really glam look out of this palette because I'm loving it so much. And yeah, this is what I came up with. And I also add a little bit of black eyeshadow in there from another palette. Just any old black eyeshadow will do. And we paired it with this rusty red, deep, sexy lip, I guess. If you want to see how I got this look and hang out with me today, go ahead and keep on watching. Before you do, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know some more videos you would like to see in the future. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into this look. Okay. I've already got my brows on, eyes are primed with Milani eyeshadow primer, which I always use, and I have done a nice light coating of translucent powder over the lid. I didn't use concealer on my actual lids, I just used some just around the brow to kind of carve it out, clean it up, and cover a little bit of pigmentation up here where the shadow is not going to be so dense. But yeah. So eyes are set and ready to go, and first thing I want to do is hit right over the brow bone with the shade Flyby first. So I'm just going to hit right here at the highest point. This has a kind of pearlized finish to it. So next I'm going to take a Morphe 441, which is a nice fluffy brush, and I'm going to go into Swarm. I'm going to take Swarm throughout the transition socket area and build it up and blend. I'm just doing windshield wiper motions and letting it blend pretty high towards that brow bone highlight shade. Okay, now on a Morphe 433, we're gonna go into Keeper and we're gonna bring that through the socket a little bit lower than the Swarm. I'm starting the brush kind of flat because this is one of those brushes that's kind of flat and then wide. Pinched ferrule, that's what it is. It has a pinched ferrule. I'm gonna start bring that through where I can feel the curve of my eye between that and the bone, the brow bone. Which is a good trick if you have hooded eyes, is to just go by feel rather than what you see, and just put the brush in where you feel that indent, that curve of your eye. That's where your crease is, and that's where you kind of want to blend your crease shades and your deeper tones to create that contour. And by doing this, you'll also make your eye look a little bit more open and bigger, because if I just followed my natural crease, the eyeshadow would be like way down here. Whereas when I'm following this, it's more up here, gives a little bit more of a lifted look, and it's still visible when my eyes are relaxed. Just gonna build that up in the crease, just like that, going windshield wiper motions back and forth, and the brush kind of does some of the work for you. But now we're going to turn it sideways and blend. Again, we're going to blend pretty high and probably go back and forth between these shades in the palette until we get the drama and intensity that we're looking for, or that I'm looking for rather. Now back to the original blending brush we used to begin with. We're just going to go around these edges and make sure everything is blended and soft and no harsh lines. Same brush, I'm going to go into Hive next, and we're going to start building a little bit of depth and intensity into the crease. This we're going to focus in the same area. We're just not going to blow it out quite as much as we did the other two shades. Each shade we're going to bring progressively in a little bit more and a little less blown out. Bring it out just a little bit. Take this shade from like the outer corner of the eye and kind of look up and then come in just a little, just to give a lift to the outer corner. Taking a little bit more of Swarm on the big fluffy brush and just making sure I've got it all blended around these edges. And then I'm going to take a little bit more Hive, just right in here. So I really want that shade to pretty intense. So now I'm going to jump to a smaller brush for just a moment. This is a Morphe 456, and we're going to go into Sting. We're going to start packing that towards the outer corner here on the lid. I'm going to start by stamping and patting motion. Flip the brush up and just start sweeping it out towards the tail of the brow lightly, and just blend it into the crease. And just gonna let that blend into our other shades. And just ever so slightly let it come over across the socket. Just give it pretty concentrated and letting it softly diffuse at the edges. Letting the brush basically diffuse it. Okay, now we're gonna go back to our previous brush, the 433, and back into Hive. We're gonna take that right around the edges where we just put that deepest brown sting and just diffuse. And slowly just getting more and more dramatic with it. And of course you can always scale back on any of these steps to what suits your eye shape. This is personally how eyeshadows tend to suit my eye shape the best, because I have hooded eyes but I also have kind of a high brow bone at the same time and shrimpy small eyes that are fairly deep set. Because I have so much space I can really go in on the eyeshadow and really blend and mix a lot of color in. And I would say if you have smaller eyes, you know, just use some smaller brushes. Maybe skip out on the big fluffy brush and just stick with these two and maybe something like this to do your detail work on the outer corner. But because I have this huge brow bone, I can really go in with a big brush and diffuse and blend. And if you have, of course, larger eyes or, you know, a lot of space, a lot of between your brow and your eyeball, you can really go in and play. But that being said, you can still do all these colors in this technique on a smaller eye with less lid space. You just gotta be a little more concentrated and just a little more focused in and just a little bit more careful with your blending. You can't quite get as loosey-goosey with it. You need to be a little more focused and just a little more concentrated and work very slow in small increments. Now, so one of my best bits of advice though is to be sure you have enough time to sit down and play with the makeup. Don't rush, you know, just make this a little bit of a me time moment. Sit down to do your eyeshadow and don't just try to slap it on and get out the door when you're wanting to do a very dramatic smoky eye, because it's not going to go well. You really want to take your time. I think what we're going to do is kind of create the effect of a cut crease without actually cutting the crease. We're going to kind of get a little bit of a spotlight eye in here, but still have that lifted dramatic look at the same time. So what I'm going to do now is take the shade Queen and I'm going to spritz my brush just a little bit with some setting spray. And I'm going to take the shade Queen though, right on this inner corner. Kind of pat it on and bring it up as if I had cut the crease. I'm going to take that same shade, Queen, and I'm going to start kind of putting a little bit out here on the outer corner. And I'm just patting right now and softly just patting the shadow on. I'm going to clean that brush off on a paper towel, spritz it one more time, and we're going to go into Golden, and we're going to take that on the center of the lid. Right down the middle here, and just pat between it and Queen to blend. And so it kind of gives that nice kind of, it kind of emphasizes the curve of the eye and just makes things look very three-dimensional. I just think that looks really pretty and gives a lot of dimension to the shades. Okay, and then just on my ring finger, I'm going to take a little bit of honey. On top of Golden. It just gives a little extra pop in there. Now on the outer corner, I'm going to take this little small blending brush from Morphe. This is a 506. I'm going to take a little bit of Sting and just right out here. Just to intensify this outer corner. Just taking a little bit of Hive on the same brush and just dancing it around the... just to kind of give that very cut crease effect without actually cutting the crease. Like it's a soft cut crease, if you will. I'm not a huge fan of like the super harsh cut crease. I never really have been. I'm just making sure this is blended right out here into the brow bone. Everything looks harmonious. Okay, so for liner, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a gel pencil liner and just go across the lash line and kind of start a little bit of a wing. And then we're gonna use eyeshadow, a black eyeshadow, to create our wing because I like it. I want a soft diffused wing. So first thing I'm going to take is the Esquito. It's the Esquito gel liner. It's not my favorite. I feel like they kind of get a little dry. And I'm going to start running this through the upper lash line, right against the lashes to start. Might be a little thicker on the as we get towards the outer part of the eye. Mostly on this inner part, I just want it to be real thin. Almost just like tight lining. And then just kind of start to create a soft little wing here. And you could do this with, you know, whatever pencil you want to use, or a gel pot liner, which I would prefer at this moment. I just don't have one. Then take a little angled liner brush like this and just a random black eyeshadow. We all got one lying around some palette somewhere. I feel like that's the only thing missing really from the Naked Honey that I would have wanted was a black eyeshadow. I feel like it would have really gave the palette a lot of drama. So I'm just gonna reach into another one. You don't have to do the smoky wing, you could just do a regular wing. But anyway, taking the black eyeshadow, I'm gonna start stamping it over that pencil before it really sets down. You see I'm just doing a little stamping motion. Start to kind of wing it out. It's gonna be a little messy just because it's eyeshadow. It's not gonna be super sharp right away, but I will show you how we're gonna get it nice and sharp and pretty. So I'm just gonna start building up that wing, get it going towards the tail of the brow, and softening it and letting it kind of diffuse into the eyeshadow. And it looks kind of weird right now, just give it a minute. I'm gonna go right up against that edge, the clean little brush. This is a little flat, kind of fluffy brush, a Morphe 152, and I'm gonna just soften right here. You can use a pencil brush for this. And just really diffuse that. And go back into Sting and kind of just work it right along that edge with it and use it to blend and diffuse it out further. So next what I'm going to do is kind of start cleaning it up a little bit and really perfecting the shape. I'm going to take a Q-tip and my face primer, which is going to work like a magic eraser. And you just take a little bit of your face primer. This is the L'Oreal Magic Perfecting Base. Any kind of silicone type primer really works great for this. You can use your under eye lotion, moisturizer, micellar water, whatever you want to use. I just prefer using my face primer, always have. And you see I made quite a mess with the black eyeshadow. I always do that when I do eyeshadow for liner. I make a huge mess when I do that. So what you're gonna do though is very gently just start to try to wipe it away. It's gonna be a messy process. Just have patience. And look, it is almost completely gone. This is also cleaning up like all the fallout. I'm gonna start kind of bringing that up into the shape that I want it. You could also obviously do the tape on the outer corners or whatever to get that guide. I don't like using the tape. It irritates my eyes and it just doesn't feel good. I find it incredibly uncomfortable. So anyway, I'm just gonna sweep that up. Barely, I'm not pulling or anything, I'm being very gentle. You can see that's already making that nice wing shape. Just take a clean Q-tip and keep at it until you get everything cleaned up and tidy. Which I always get a lot of fallout. So I'm just kind of messy when I do my own makeup. I use a much lighter hand on clients. But yeah, just following that towards the tail of the brow, just sweeping it up. And if you get this little line right here and take the clean end of your Q-tip and soften it. And there you go. Really my favorite way to do winged eyeshadows, to do it kind of soft. I feel like it suits my eye a little bit better. When I do just a very graphic like wing, it's not the most flattering because I have hooded eyes and it kind of cut it off a little bit and look a little weird. This way with the eyeshadow we can kind of hide that, kind of camouflage it within the smokiness of the wing so you don't see that disconnect. Alright, I'm gonna take just a little bit of the black eyeshadow on the tip of this brush right here. Just really make sure I got that how I want it. Alright, just a little bit of perfect. So what I'm going to do now is take a little bit of the Milani eyeshadow primer and just pop that along the lower lash line, gently just kind of pat that. This is just a nice trick. You don't have to put the primer on the lower lash line. I just sometimes have trouble getting eyeshadow to stick down there. And I find going ahead and priming it with a little bit of eyeshadow primer really does make a big difference. And I'm gonna take a little bit of my concealer that I'm gonna use everywhere else in the face, like the under eye and stuff, and just take a tiny smidgen of it and just go right under there. Because I'm gonna put an eyeshadow on top of it, it's not really gonna show a lot of creasing or anything. It's not that big a deal because we're gonna have the eyeshadow kind of blown out and smoky down here. So if there's any creasing, you're really not gonna see it because the eyeshadow is gonna disguise it. That's another reason I like to kind of blend down a little bit. That way I just kind of don't worry about creasing too much. I don't usually have terrible issues with creasing on my under eye though, so there's that. But I'm just gonna take this on a little fluffy brush. It's a Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush, which I find works fantastically for cream products rather than actually like blending eyeshadow. And just taking like a little bit, just right under here, just to even it out so it's cohesive looking when I am finished with my face. This part you really don't need much. There's a very light application there. This is the e.l.f. Camo Concealer Hydrating Formula. And just kind of take it like right up here to kind of clean up that wing as well. That'll just make sure everything is nice and cohesive when we finish up the look. Take your any discoloration right in here, which I tend to have. And you're just gonna kind of softly blend that out. Just patting it. Look crazy, I know. There's such a contrast because my face is so red because I don't have my foundation on yet. Alright, so now I'm going to take this same brush again. This is that M456. I'm going to clean it off. I'm going to first jump into Keeper. I'm just going to skip over Swarm for right now because we don't really need that also unless you just wanted to. And I'm going to scrunch up my under eye here and blend this along. I've applied it to the tip of the brush because I am going kind of a little more blown out and smoky, so I'm not worried about keeping it real tight to the lash line for this particular step. And it's okay if this gets a little messy because we are going to be doing the face afterwards, and it all just kind of cleans up and looks fine. What I like to do is just kind of basically hug my eye bag here. The little curve or contour of the eye is not necessarily an eye bag, which is where that lid kind of comes up over the eyeball. Not being super precise or anything, as we are going smoky and dramatic. And I didn't put any translucent powder on the lower lash line because I feel like it helps the eyeshadow stick a little better. I don't know why I kind of do the opposite on the lower lash line because I have trouble getting product to stay put there. I'm kind of making sure it flows up to the wing. There's no real disconnect there. A little bit of black is going to get transferred down when you're blending this part, but that's okay because it's all gonna flow together. Then I go back to this brush, the 152, and I'm gonna go into Hive. I'm gonna focus product more on one side of the brush and make sure that side is facing up as I blend underneath here, but still letting it get pretty blown out and smoky. Alright, same brush, I'm gonna take Sting and focus that a little more tightly to the outer corner. And letting that flow into the upper eyeshadow into that wing. Okay, now we take that eyeliner more time here, and we're gonna just get right at these lashes. I'm not gonna get into the waterline, I'm just focusing it right on this outer corner where the wing, where it will join up to the wing. And not being super precise with this, just more just getting it on there. But I'm only bringing it about a quarter of the way. And back to that same brush, and I'm just gonna kind of blend it before it sets. And I'm gonna take just a touch of that same black eyeshadow, just a tiny bit on the tip of this brush. Really knock off the excess and just kind of smoke that into the wing out here, creating a nice cat eye shape. Make a little C shape, or well, it's gonna be a V, but just kind of loop that around right out here just to make sure it's all cohesive and blended together and there's no disconnect between the upper and lower lash line, or eyeshadow rather. So I like to just kind of go whoop, hug right out here, make a little C. Again, doing these smoky colors and these, like especially using a black eyeshadow, it is a little bit more user friendly if you don't do your face first and just go ahead and do your eyeshadow then your face, because if you do get some drop down, fallout, whatever, you can just clean it up pretty easily. Now I'm going to take that fluffier brush one more time and hit a little bit of Swarm on the tip and really scrunch the eye and blend it along here just to get that nice blown out effect. Even though I'm doing some glam, I'm also going to be a little grungy with it because that's my style. Alright, now I'm going to go do lashes, finish up my face, and I'll be back for the lips. And we're back with the face done. So for blush, I use Always Cheeky from e.l.f. This is a primer infused blush, and I use the e.l.f. highlighting whatever powder in white gold. And yeah, let's move on to these lips. I've also put on some false lashes. This is the Pompadour style from Kiss in their little blowout wispies. And close that back up. Okay. Alright, so let's move on to lips real quick. I'm going to line them with Auburn from MAC. Okay, and for lipstick, I'm going to use the L'Oreal Matte Crayon in the shade of Flirty Toffee. This is such a good, like, rusty red shade. You can tell I'm ready for fall. I'm so fucking ready for fall, man. Last thing, I want to do a little touch up on a lower lash line, a little more smokiness, because after I did, you know, foundation and all that, kind of lost a little bit of it. The Morphe 456. And I go into Hive and just run that right along here just to kind of bring that smokiness back. There we go. See the difference? I'm gonna pull it down pretty far. Really smoke that out. Okay, and we're gonna hit the inner corner with a little bit of our face highlight from e.l.f. The white gold, right in that inner part. Very inner corner. A little light in there. Okay, and we are done. I'm gonna go zhuzh my hair and put my earrings on. I'll be right back. Alright, and here is the look all complete. I love it. This is kind of like my perfect glam for right now. I'm really into these honey golden warm tones. Well, I think I'm always kind of into these colors, but especially right now, I'm really having a good time with playing with Naked Honey. I think it's such a beautiful palette and very versatile. Like, even though it's the same color story, you can get a lot out of it, surprisingly. Like, I love it for everyday looks and for glam looks like this. All you need is just to throw in some black eyeshadow or some black liner to really amp up that drama. And yeah, this look is one of my favorites I've done. And anyways, thank you so much for hanging out and watching me play with this palette and create this nice smoky look. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have this palette at home and want to recreate it, girl, tag me in those pictures. I would love to see it. And I got lipstick on my teeth as per usual. Anyway, yeah, I love this look paired with like this rusty red lip. It's perfection. And this top too. It just, everything just kind of works together. Before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know some more videos you would like to see in the future. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Stay spooky and stay safe. Bye now.